All right, it is time to crush another key, and unfortunately, it will be Heroes at the hand of Solar. We will get a flinch again. It's a guarantee. We'll get an explosion again. It's a guarantee. We've got Artosis and ZG here as well to talk about this, as well as the next match to come. Artosis.
Yo.
Look. Oh. Bam. Oh. A very small flinch there. But anyway, let's now talk about the final series of the day, and it is a huge one, of course, because it is a rematch of the RSL Grand Finals where Classic was able to make a god bleed. Yes, the world champion Clem is going to be going up against him this time around, but it's on a completely different stage. It's his stage, most importantly, as it will be a best of 5 to determine who moves forward into the round of 4. Zombie Grub, talk to me about the matchup.
Obviously, everyone's excited about this one. I mean, I think these are the best players of their respective races going at each other, especially with the results so far. It's kind of crazy that before some of the 2 victories from Classic, Clem was on a 20-series win streak. Isn't that insane?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was looking it up.
That's pretty good.
I was like, wait a minute, I keep scrolling like last time that Classic actually won against this guy. So it's a very recent development that Classic has been able to take series off of Clem. So, you know, that is something I think worth considering. Yes, Classic may be favored because of recent results, very important, but overall, maybe bigger stages, more consistency, that goes to Clem.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you're...
I think actually Classic's going to take this one down. I think he's got the right style. Yes, Clem is...
If you haven't been watching StarCraft, then one, I would say, where have you been, Pat? We caught StarCraft on a daily basis here, and Classic, he has been beating Clem in recent times. That's why, if you recall, I was talking about how Classic players like here can be threatening to Clem, especially in the PvT matchup. So we have seen that already, but as they're bringing up here on the casting couch, a lot of it comes down to, you know, nerves, comes down to offline presence here as well. Yes, sure, Classic may have been beating Clem in online tournaments, but what about in offline events? What about here when it matters most? What about here after all this preparation, all this setup? I do expect a back and forth. I do not expect a 3-0 in either direction, and I still lean towards Clem here, but I would not be surprised if Classic can take it to Clem either, just because of recent results, just because of recent performances.
Let's have a tantalizing taste as we get into Classic versus Clem.
Clem taking this game by the horns, and GG.
What are we watching?
You see the happiness in that young
man. Anything that Hero can throw at Clem, Clem has an answer for it, and it is
the
Clem.
king of the StarCraft 2 world, he is Clem.
And Cyril's army is evaporating. GG.
We have never seen dominant performance like that ever in StarCraft 2.
What? You know, the production team, they're having fun.
Clem, of course, won the World Championship last year, and I think his tournament run was phenomenal.
Clem is your world champion, defeating Cyril 5-0.
And that was super exciting for me. Yeah, also like I think the way that happened and the score lines and everything, that was just insane to me, and I couldn't really believe that happened.
And that is it. It's over.
I had to do a lot of thinking after the final series against Clem, thinking how to improve, how to get up from that.
I think it's extremely likely that we could see Clem as a back-to-back champion this year, picking up another win here at EWC.
Well, I'll do my best for that to happen for sure. Yeah, I'll try to have a performance like the one I had last year.
I think Clem is still the best Terran player in the world right now, and if I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be either Cyril or Clem again for 2025's EWC finals as well.
Clem has always been a very hard opponent, and if he's playing his best and I'm not playing my absolute best, it's always going to be hard.
Well, having a performance like the one I had in Dallas is definitely not great for my confidence, but I don't think it impacts it that much because at that tournament, like in my matches, I knew what I did wrong, I knew what went wrong, what I need to like fix, and it was, I think, pretty easy stuff mostly. And also winning Star Zagora kind of boosted up again. We're going to see a replay of last year's Clem.
The question is, will Clem be able to defend his championship, Artosis?
I honestly, like, I love him, but I hope not, because if he does, there's no Protoss in the round of 4, and all of our story building is thrown away.
True. That is a good point here. As we have our maps, as we will be starting on Ultra Love, Persephone, and then Pylon, Top Mac, and Ley Lines if we need it. I'm hoping it goes to all 5 games. I would love to see that. But now, it is time to head over to the stage. It is time for our final best of 5 of the day. Classic goes up against Clem, PVT. It is going to be a banger.
Let's go to the rematch.
Thank you so much. Our last match of today in the SNB Esports Arena is Grand Finals quality. Unfortunately, in a perfect world, they would make it to tomorrow, but we don't live in that perfect world. And unfortunately, fate had other plans.
That it did, because history is about to be written. The last bastion of Protoss versus the reigning champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Liquid's Classic and Virtus Pro's Classic and Liquid's Clem.
These intros.
The hopes of a race on the line. Can he protect the legacy of Protoss and defend the integrity of his key?
And Liquid Clem, the best defense to a good offense. Wow, it's late, guys. Offense is the best defense, and Clem had no option other than to choose violence this morning when he woke up. Something casters, take it away from us. It's getting away.
Yeah. Everyone's falling apart.
What is up, everybody? Tasteless in Rotterdam here to bring you an exciting match between Clem and Classic. Roddy, how you doing?
I am doing great. It is the final best of 5 of the day. We have seen
a ridiculous day
of StarCraft 2. Lots of emotions, lots of heartbreak, seeing the disappointment and pain on Heroes' face in the previous series as well. It hurts. We know how much time, blood, sweat, and tears these guys pour into their craft. Now, obviously, that makes it awesome for us to watch, but also tough from time to time. But here we are. It is our final best of 5. It is Classic versus Clem, a rematch of your RSL finals, Tasteless.
Yeah, and in that finals, it was interesting. Classic flexed his macro Protoss style so hard. I thought Clem came in with a lot of interesting ideas, but at the end of the day, Classic was a wall that could not be passed. He basically doesn't really ever rush or cheese. Instead, he just tries to grow. And he'll grow, he'll take more bases, he'll get more tech, and eventually it just doesn't feel like there's a lot that Terran can do. Now, hopefully from that RSL Finals, Clem has figured out that puzzle. He's solved that riddle. He knows how to play. Is that to be more aggressive? Is it maybe there's some way to macro against the Protoss? Are you going to harass so much that you don't have to worry so much about your whole army in a push getting stormed or blown up by Colossus? I don't know, but he's got to bring that answer here right now.
Storm was definitely the story of that best of 7, and they also had a best of 5 earlier in the upper bracket. That too went in favor of Classic.
I think this is probably the best duo that could cast this series. For people that don't know, for people that again haven't been watching or keeping up with a lot of these games, Classic has had the better record against Clem as of late. That's why they're hyping Classic up so much. He beat Clem in a best of 5, and he beat him in a best of 7 as well. And going on lines of what we have been saying, Classic over the past couple of years of play when it comes to his PvT, he has always been the more defensive player to build up into that late game. That is typically how he's been approaching things, even more so in the most recent patch as well, where if he sees an opportunity, he will go for a long range, he will be more defensive, and he will snowball out of control. That's where Classic thrives. It's very similar to his PvZ, which is also quite similar, where he thrives in the late game. Same with PvT as well. It almost feels like Classic is like the new Shield of Fire, the new stats, if you will. The new defensive Protoss player at the highest level of play. I say almost because that is not the case for PvP, and Classic still has some aggressive tendencies to him, but I would say he's probably the most defensive Protoss player in South Korea.
So aggressive against Classic in a couple of those recent encounters, and guess what? He ran into a storm, infinite amount of storms. Storms all over again. Classic obviously doesn't just warp in 1 or 2 High Templars if he has access to that tech.
We also know that Clem, he does like his storms because he stands in everything. True.
It is going to be a longer series than their previous matches.
In the top right, in the red, he is Classic.
Representing Virtus Pro, the only player in this tournament that represented Virtus Pro. In the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base with the man who already saw his teammate earlier today advance into the Final Four. Can this man keep his dreams alive of defending his World Championship title? It's Clem.
And so we go into this first match. We were talking about Clem being pretty aggressive, and you know, one of the issues about being very aggressive early on is if it backfires, you're so behind, right? So if it
all right, if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is a Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. When it comes to what I feel, ooh, 2-gate opener at a Classic. When it comes to how I feel, even though Classic has had a winning record against Clem, even though a lot of people are favoring Classic against Clem, I still lean towards Clem, but that is mainly just because I believe that Clem, after those series, after those games, is one to take from that, to learn, to adapt, and to adjust. That's my assumption, but I also assumed that from Hero when it came to GSL, and turns out that wasn't really the case. So we'll see. We'll see.
Some time to block an additional Nexus, but at this point there is no Nexus yet, and Clem might think like, oh, this has gone perfect so far.
Yeah, 2-gate opener.
Remember, him to expand elsewhere, but what Clem really needs to do is get into that main base of Classic, because Classic is going to have double the amount of units that you normally have in these early stages of a PvT.
This is such an interesting opener because it's been played masterfully here by Classic. You're totally right, Roddy. He identified that Clem wants to do a control style play by basically putting an eBay there to block the entrance. And because the SCV is chasing that probe around, it's not scouting the main. That's the big secret, is that double Adepts coming out of the main. He's still searching the map. Is there any hidden, anything here?
And it's a double chrono as well. And Clem might even go for a proxy starport. I was going to talk about the fact that Clem, in big series, when it's for all the marbles, will always go at least once for a Hellion drop. He loves this build when it's for all the marbles, but Classic is
the problem here is that Hellions, what are they going to do to defend against Adept Stalker?
Are really not going to do very good
They're
against
going to do
these
nothing.
two Adepts. And then on top of that, we've got 2 Stalkers as a follow-up. This
is a crazy start for Classic. Classic has momentum. Classic has control. Classic is moving out, and Clem is in danger. He's in trouble. Things are looking rough for Clem.
See Clem's face when he sees it's not 1 Adept, but it's 2 Adepts, and Classic actually is still hiding it. He's still hiding the fact that it's not 1 but 2, and now Clem is probably like, huh? You've got 2 Adepts over here. In what universe can you have 2 Adepts already?
Yeah, the Marines gets taken out. 1 Hellion gets jettisoned outside the base, the other to be repaired inside. The starport is done and a medevac is being made, but the Stalker is going to kill the 1 Hellion out on the map.
Stalkers are coming in.
The pressure is really building here at the entrance for Clem.
It is smart to get a Widowmine, because Widowmines can obviously just burrow and get a guaranteed kill on one of these units, and these units are very important. But right now, this is not a fight that Clem really enjoys. It's a couple of Hellions and just a single Marine, buying time for that Widowmine to come out. And let's not forget that we have a proxy starport. He has still gone, by the way, for the medevac, which I find a tiny bit surprising. I thought that perhaps going for a Liberator here, or even a Viking that can land and do something on the other side of the map, would be more impactful, because are you really going to fly that medevac all the way home to heal 2 Marines? Like, that doesn't seem like much of a play.
Yeah, I mean, right now the medevac can't really do anything, right? It's just floating out here on the map. We saw the starport lifted. The Widowmine's going to come down. He does not manage to snipe it. The command center, of course, can't land over here until the 4-Stalker contain is denied. The wind is really taken out of the sails here for the proxy starport. This is going to have to be relocated.
Yeah, when it comes to setup, I mean, as Rotterdam did mention, because of the Widowmine, it means that Clem, he saves the main base, he does defend. Classic expanding, taking his natural, building up from here.
Know about this medevac that's already out. And this medevac has taken a pretty sneaky route towards the main base of Clem. Clem is immediately going to load up these 4 Hellions, and this could be the play for Clem, as Clem will keep the medevac at home, but he's still going to send 4 Hellions to the other side of the map.
I love this move for Clem.
And that is going to be incredibly surprising to Classic, who is moving the Stalkers home, but he needs to recall them. He has energy for a recall. We need a recall here, Tasteless.
Yeah, he's got to bunch them up over here, but be careful, because if that Hellion damage spikes on top of this, he's going to lose all these workers as well. Instead, the Stalker's going to come in over here. They're going to try to hit on those Hellions. They're going to be able to take out 1. 2 more going to come in the main. Enough Stalkers here at the ramp for the block.
Wow, that is a lot of Stalkers, by the way, for Classic. That double gate production has really been up and running from the very beginning of the game. And I'm actually a little bit worried for Clem if Classic decides to be aggressive here with a War Prism, because Clem has built a bunch of Hellions, then built a Widowmine. None of these things are very useful in dealing with a bunch of Stalkers.
Yeah, 0 tanks.
That is the very first siege tank that Clem has been producing. Clem does have a lot of potential in this little drop, because Classic just used recall, so Clem can actually just attack this main.
Classic's moving out. If Classic gets high ground vision with Blink, he can break into the main. And even then, he's pushing into the natural.
Important shield battery for Classic, because it's going to buy a lot of time.
Yeah, we can see the pickup over here with the medevac. And the Stalkers are just going to kick in the front door, starting to take these SCVs out one by one. There's really not a lot to defend here. There's no Widowmine. The raw strength of the Stalkers, especially when spread out like so, can do so much damage. The tank's going to siege up. We have a drop occurring in the main over here. and he's got to blink these Stalkers just out of range, and there's not a siege tank that right now that can actually hit these Stalkers if they're tucked back far enough.
Classic is playing an excellent game. Great defense against that one medevac with the Cyclone and a couple of the Marines, and great offense here as well. Sure, he has lost a Stalker or two, but he is piling on the pressure. Clem is already 11 workers behind, does not have Stim on the way, does not have Combat Shield on the way. He is about to get his hands on the second tank. That's pretty nice. Classic has multiple choices now. Is he going to try to
He could dive. He's going for it. He's going for the dive. Gets one.
He's going to get the first tank. No, he doesn't get it immediately. Lost a few more units here than he's supposed to, but he should be able to continue just to kill a couple of extra SUVs to make this still okay. This wasn't pretty because he didn't know about the second tank, but I still think it's all right for Classic.
I think it's still okay for Classic. The drop's going to come in here, which means the Stalkers are going to warp in. Remember that every piece of damage on the Marines is permanent. They can't heal without any medevacs over there. The Stalkers will clean this up. The shield battery drained of energy is not going to be able to protect too many more probes. We already have 10 workers killed here for Classic.
That is a pretty impressive, by the way, by Clem, that he managed to get 10 workers there in the end. That medevac was very low on HP. At first, it looked like Classic properly defended his main, then Classic properly defended the third base. So for Clem, in the end, to get 10 workers is definitely a little bonus, but Clem definitely knows that he's still in trouble as well.
Yeah, as I was saying, like, it's something. Like, thankfully, because of that economic damage that Clem just dealt, he's still in this game. He's still in this game. He's not completely out of this yet. It's still a rough position. Stim is still not yet done. Stalkers have high ground vision. He can go into the main base. He can dive on the tanks. Oh, does avoid.
Tanks out of position. Could he cancel?
No, Stim!
No! The Stim is being upgraded right over here. That's huge. An already very late Stim, because of the unusual nature of this game, is now going to be denied the tank shot down as well. He might be able to dip in for one more.
It's a sick game so far by Classic. Perhaps the best game he has played all tournament. He still has that shield battery in the main base that has been the absolute MVP. Now he's using these Stalkers to hunt down this medevac. And if Clem loses this medevac as well, things will go really bad. Clem knows that Classic is looking for it, and it seems like the boost will be able to bring this medevac to safety for now. But what an incredibly impressive game this has been coming out of Classic. If you're talking about preparation, this right here has been textbook. Knowing Clem likes to eBay block, knowing Clem will follow that probe towards the third base to block the Nexus further, never entering the main base, being completely unaware of the fact this was a double gate opening. Incredibly cool and impressive stuff coming out of Classic.
Yeah, Classic playing a world-class game right now. We're going to see if the
medevac
can get anything done.
Like
Classic is aware of it on the periphery, and it looks like he might be able to jump into the blind spot. The Stalker harass is over. But most importantly, with the Stim denied, and by the way,
and again, Classic, he's big chilling. He's on 80 heart rate.
Almost 9 minutes into this game, so this is a very late Stim, and without Stim, basically
79.
Can't do that much as far as pushing.
Go lower.
I do think it's a good decision by Clem to drop a third command center, because 2 base all in just wouldn't cut it anymore. You're gonna run into storms, and that is something we saw over and over again in those RSL games these guys played against each other. It makes no sense to pull the SUVs and go for an all-out 2 base all in when you know Classic doesn't have 1 or 2 storms, but probably has 8 storms to work with. So Clem probably not happy about having to drop that third command center this late and being this outmined, but it absolutely is his best choice from all the rough choices.
He's going for the storm drop as well. Jesus.
So Classic is starting to play the game that he wanted to play. Okay, nice storm drop here, beautifully done. You know, one of the things, that's actually a lot of kills there. Sometimes
he's going to get up!
Oh my God.
He comes like too soon.
18 he gets 18 there. I didn't realize he had a pocketed storm.
Oh, God.
So that's huge.
Does catch the prism.
Warp Prism's going to be killed off, but it's. I mean, it would always be better to keep alive, right? But
I mean, this still means more for Classic. Like, again, Classic is a massive. He has double the worker counts.
He's going to be macroing up. He's going to be ready for pushes. Probably not that interested in any kind of full-on attack, and he wants to grow. And that means that Clem wants to try to push out and end the game.
And
Clem
there's like, what, 5 High Templar?
Or the odds of him making this game a win are so slim.
There's only one world where this will work for Clem, and that is if he's able to siege these tanks up in a very gnarly spot, but they are not sieged up yet. Or perhaps if Classic makes a terrible blink, Clem is still trying to distract the Protoss a little bit with that Marine drop in the main base. He's trying to get something done. There is a new Warp Prism. We are always going to have a couple of good storms here, and all that Classic needs to do to win this game is hold here. He is going to storm everything. Does lose the Warp Prism. He's blinking into Marauders, and he's blinking into tanks, but he has so much that he can get away with it.
Oh my man, I mean, the damage is just insane. The army wiped out. The third base could be vulnerable. We've got a small drop over here, but it doesn't matter because Clem saw the writing on the wall. The counterattack from Classic would have ended that game. Clem going to save his stamina, save that APM, and try to go into game 2 here in this best
It's a fake
of 5.
push. No,
What
it's
a cool
real.
way to start this best of 5.
It's very real.
The opening, I'm just fascinated by it. Classic reading Clem like a...
Yeah, GG, well played. As they're kind of nerding out about it, I am as well. Like, really solid opener out of Classic to be able to get a hard read on Clem. I think what I really love about this first game is that, as we were mentioning, Classic is known for a certain style in PvT. He's known for being more defensive. He's known for building up into a longer game. And I'm sure Clem was getting ready for that. I'm sure that's why Clem wanted to be aggressive at the start of this game as well. Clem wanted to try to hard counter or wanted to try to break Classic early on. Little did he know that Classic read that, and instead of going for what he's known for, he was able to punish Clem by going for the 2-gate opener, by going unscattered, by punishing the proxy starport as well. Just a really solid start there from Classic, and from there he just snowballs out of control. Crazy.
Make for some of the most exciting games. I think that game illustrates that exactly. We had Clem go for the proxy starport.
Classic just hard reading Clem.
Classic's opener basically worked. He knew that the eBay at the natural expansion would come down, and so a lot of times what you're trying to do with the SCV instead of scouting the main is to try to figure out where that third base is. Maybe you denied that too if you get in the way. And because of that, he didn't realize that there was a double gate early on. The pressure was hitting. It was pretty chaotic, but ultimately Classic got to the position where he's just starting to macro. The game in some ways becomes boring from the Protoss's perspective. You're kind of just like storm dropping and growing on the map. And he got to that point where Clem couldn't catch up. Also, let's remember that Stim was denied there.
Yeah.
I mean, the Stim was so deep in the main, but the Stalkers got in. I think it was a little bit of a preemptive siege there on the second or third tank. And without Stim, you just don't have any legs in the matchup as things pick up. You can't really do anything to force the situation.
I'm not sure if any Protoss ever got tired or bored of storm dropping though. Like if we're ahead and we're killing 18 SCVs with a couple storms,
no.
I think we're loving life.
In the top left, in the red, he is Classic.
And that of course means that in the bottom left side of Persephone, we are taking a look at the main base of the reigning defending world champion of StarCraft 2. It's Clem.
Okay, this map is an unusual one. You spawn both on the left side of the map. Obviously, Clem in the bottom, Classic in the top. There are speed zones on the right, which, you know, when I first saw this.
So here, Classic is scouting for proxies here on his side of the map, but Clem this time is not going for the eBay block. We're calming down.
We saw this specifically with Classic and Clem in RSL. Is Classic preempted Clem's drops. Drops on this map, they come in a very predictable angle because it's north to south or south to north. I would imagine Clem has learned from that. He's going to be a lot more cautious in games like this because there's more than enough land everywhere that you can't really sneak or hide a drop anywhere when it's en route. But yeah, let's see what kind of openers we're going to have here. This time around, it's an immediate scout into the main from Classic.
Economic open out of Clem.
Is going to be moving out here for Clem.
Out of all the maps, though, this is a map where I do kind of like macro-oriented Terran play. And I know a lot of Terrans are very afraid to play those 3, 4, 5-base scenarios against Protoss right now.
Clem is not afraid.
Can just explode out on the map. That's a lovely little mental victory there for Clem.
Very nice.
Classic, obviously, a tiny bit annoyed there by the missed micro of his probe. That's not supposed to happen. Probes and SCVs move at the same pace, so you're not supposed to lose your worker like that. Not the biggest of deals, but it's definitely very annoying. And that's going to help Clem a little bit to just shake off frustration of game 1, because losing the game 1 in a best of 5 is obviously always annoying, but the way that it happened is probably like, man, how the hell does this guy just know what I'm going to do in the first 2.5, 3 minutes of the game for him to go for that bizarre build order? Like, what kind of a weird soul read is that? Like, is he staring straight through me? How did he know? Well, you know, now you can shake it off. You're like, I got the probe. I never lose a game when I kill a probe with my SCVs.
So in this game, we've got what looks like the 1-1-1 coming. Bunker here at the entrance. Everything
no
is
engagement
very
there from
right
Tasteless.
Now.
God
you don't
damn
have
it.
any twists or turns here. One thing about Classic that I've really liked about his play is he goes for Storm probably faster than any other Protoss player in the world, really. Look at this. He's going to come out here and try to fight this to death.
It's actually a very nice play here by Clem, because normally you don't bring these Marines
really
up,
nice.
but I guess Clem truly expected Classic to go very far forward with the Adept, and he thought perhaps...
Basically, Classic had a bit of a late reaction with the Adept, so it was a nice catch. Doesn't kill the Adept, but does get a little hull damage.
As Clem did not...
Twilight counter opener out of Classic.
To the other side of the map yet. It's like, just in case this guy is double gating again, which is absolutely not common in this matchup. I want to make sure I have an early bunker, and I actually get to play this at TvP.
This Reaper is going to bounce right back out of the main. Could be intercepted here by this Stalker from Classic. Nice nade there. Actually chucks the Stalker to the side. And so, yeah, we're going to see if we get that fast storm that I was mentioning earlier. In this case, it's going to be Blink right away. I have seen Classic go for Storm and then a third gate and then get a Storm, then get the third Nexus. But seeing the probe out here, it's going to be more of the standard build order where you have 2 gates, then the Nexus with Blink. And, you know, honestly, I feel like an opening like this, maybe there is a world where Clem could get a little bit aggressive.
Yep, a very macro-oriented opening here.
I would not say this is standard from Classic. I would say this is greedy, especially in current meta. In current meta, it is a lot more common to go for a Robo before Nexus. This is a Nexus before Robo. So Classic is cutting corners and Classic is being greedy here.
On the minimap. Clem didn't get anything with his Reaper, probably a little bit frustrated, was very close to getting a single worker, but it's all good. It is a lot more important for Clem that he gets something done with this Widowmine drop. The hallucinated Phoenix will tell Classic everything he needs to know. Clem, I think, is faking Cloak Banshee as he's researching Interference Matrix. The Medevac is already very low on HP. One Stalker did die, and now it is a probe that's going to go down, but this is really not that bad for Classic, unless he loses a bunch of workers in the natural, but it's all acceptable, because the biggest victory here for Classic is that he doesn't have to worry about the second wave or the third wave of that Medevac showing up, because the Medevac died, the Widowmines died, so it was a one and done coming out of Clem. That's not what you're looking for as a Terran Tasteless. You're waiting for that thing to pick up the mines, come back a little bit later when there is a fight happening to potentially find a lot more damage. Classic is going to be more than happy with that, even though he lost the Stalker. And
yeah, as Roddy's saying, like, this is a stronger start for Classic, so he gets away with a fast third base, he gets away with a late Robo, he gets away with it, and he shuts down the initial drop plays, so stronger start for Classic. Right now, the pressure is going to be on Clem to try to recover. He does have some Raven Harass coming out. He's working towards a heavy bio setup with Stim, Combat Shields. I believe the tank count is very low here for Clem, and we'll see how hard he can embrace these upgrades as we have Storm on the horizon.
Some turrets here probably in the worker line and then try to get back out. Important that he doesn't lose this Raven because that's extremely important when those pushes come.
What is actually quite nice for Classic is that he's so fond of the Templar Archives as a real tech opener that he's going to have very quick access to High Templars, and High Templars can just drop a feedback on that Raven, so that Raven can't just stay idle between those bases forever, because that will allow Classic to land a feedback, and then that Raven is going to A, take damage, and B, won't have any other turrets for a while. We also saw earlier that Classic did drop a shield battery in the main base, I believe, once more. That shield battery in the previous game, by the way, truly saved this game, because there were 2 moments where Clem could have potentially found a lot of damage, but he didn't find any damage because of that shield battery. And that reminds me a little bit of like how Zest used to play, and I was such a big fan of that, because if you're that far ahead, just spend those 100 minerals. So
behind this, I should have emphasized this a little bit more. I was touching on the fact that there are no tanks. There's actually earlier sim than normal, so really early sim. Clem, he sneaks out on left-hand side. The Observer does not spot this. The army doesn't spot this. Clem trying to sneak up on the Stalkers.
Looking for a cool play where he's going to try to force these Stalkers to blink back and try to intercept them.
He gets him.
Already blink Tasteless. That is bad news for Classic.
That was so perfect, because Classic does this every game. He basically has Stalkers out there to kill anything that's going to scout and see for a push coming. So Classic comes in, traps them with a sandwich, and as they blinked back,
he's rallying. He's setting it.
And now the push is inbound.
But Storm is not in time.
Every unit is so important to try to hold that push off. Losing those few Stalkers is huge. Storm finishes at the second. The question is now, will this attack still work?
Yeah, first Storm is not that great. It's going to push the army away a little bit. Clem is obviously worried about the fact that it is there, and most of the time Classic has infinite amount of Storms. Classic did use a feedback, by the way, on the Raven. That's what the Observer was showcasing us. That's why the Raven took some damage and had absolutely no energy. There was a Widowmine left behind there. I was worried for Classic after losing those Stalkers, but I think that first Storm was almost like a bit of a bluff, where it's like, hey, you sure you want to do this? It's Classic, I have a lot of these. And Clem immediately decided to disengage and split up his army, and he is getting ready for the next phase of this game with the Ghost Academy, which does obviously mean that Classic, for now, is enjoying a nice economic lead. 67 growth over only 54 SCVs.
I really respect the caution here from Clem. He lost previous games by being, kind of crashing into the army too much and basically losing everything. He set up a little bit of a good position.
So talking about the PTSD that Clem has in his previous series, we spoke about it, but Clem took a lot of Storms to the face in his previous series against Classic. So he's
Supplies are about
he's scarred a little bit.
Right now, Classic is teching into the next phase, which is going to be Colossus tech.
Yep, but we do have that War Prism in the bottom left side. It is 2 Zealots and a High Templar. I think the High Templar will come as a bit of a surprise. It is going to be Zealots first. The SCV is going to be clumped up, and here is that High Templar.
Oh, the second storm! Oh my god!
17 SCVs. Classic is playing like a man on fire. And Clem knows that he is in a bit of trouble, especially because we can see, Tasteless, that Classic is already getting ready for the other transition. The second Robo and
he was so patient with that second storm as well. He was waiting for the army to stack up, for the workers to stack up.
Yeah, that storm drop, like the amount of value you got with 1 Templar is absurd. That was 17 kills. We see a small counterattack here from Classic. Maybe he's going a little bit too hard.
You can see why Clem has PTSD from Storm.
And now we've got the 4th base. I've always noticed this with Classic.
He's not stopping.
Base instead of in the very top right corner. Instead, kind of
he's not
on the outside here. And there's a huge medevac drop coming here. If Clem can do damage,
Classic
it has to be right now.
True.
Yep, he needs big damage here because he continues to take damage at home. He lost a couple SCVs to the Zealots. That is not enough. Classic needs a lot more, but he does have High Templar. Drops the Storm immediately.
You see Clem pushing on the right-hand side.
In the main base. Doesn't
he's waiting for the
seem to be the case. 2 Stalk is nowhere near enough. Clem right now is on the offense. He's all over Classic. Classic is going to be forced, I think, to cancel this base. Apparently doesn't want to. He's got a bunch of Zealots here. Has a Guardian Shield. Does cancel it in the end. I mean, Classic could slow the game down a little bit because he is seconds away from having 2 Colossus. And having 2 Colossus will make his army so much better against an incredibly Marine-heavy Clem. Because Clem is kind of poor. You don't have money to afford a lot of Marauders. So by nature, you're going to go back to building more and more Marines because you don't want battle units. Colossus, needless to say, are fantastic against Marines.
Yeah, these Zealots doing a decent job right now. Clem going to come back and drive this way. I think
basically what Roddy just said is the soup lies. True, the soup does lie. As I mentioned, Clem is very Marine heavy just because he has been behind economically.
Another storm drop. I think there might be Zealots in here as well. Let's actually find out. Hold on.
It's 3 Zealots and 1 High Templar.
Yeah, perfect. So he comes in, doesn't get any kind of storm off.
He's back with the storms.
But it's going to be a nuisance. This may force Clem to go back. Remember that Classic's on 3 bases and so is Clem. That 4th base was denied, so Classic's going to remake it in this really far out corner here in the top right. Very hard to actually push into. It's the furthest walking distance from the Terran starting point on the map.
Clem has a few Widow Mines that are just scattered around the map. Would be nice for Clem there if it found a connection with the War Prism, but that's not quite working out. I agree with you that Clem is becoming more and more like solid in this game as we're getting an armory. We've got a pretty big army, but at this point I'm still a bit worried for Clem because he's not that rich. I mean, when you only have 4 Vikings, 4 Vikings against 4 Colossus is never enough. And let's not forget that Classic is also working with double Forge. So right now the upgrades favor Clem. Soon the upgrades will favor Classic. And it's going to be incredibly difficult for the men from Team Liquid to deal with this kind of a Protoss army. Infinite amount of storms, 4 Colossus. Honestly, I'm worried for Clem.
Yeah. I see the army here from Classic, and it looks really healthy.
It's
terrifying. Hard when I even see it to
it's
imagine
what, like
how
6 or 7 High Templar?
and stim and do the damage without between
alongside the
Colossus,
Colossus, alongside the fact there are less Vikings.
Lance, the damage has got to be insane. And the push is going to come in. Now, Classic doesn't normally push in games like this, but this appears to be a moment he thinks he can just take the 3rd, and there's no counterattack yet here from Clem.
I don't hate it. Clem does have a lot of units, perhaps on the top side, so there is a world where Clem can surround his army and collapse on it from 2 different angles, but there's also a world
very nice
EMP on 6 High Templars at once, and Clem thinks that this is the moment to take that fight. It's a beautiful concave of Vikings as well.
It looks like he takes out the Colossus, and there's only 1 more yet. Classic doesn't juggle it into the Warp Prism. This means it's only Archons and Starklers left over.
He still has too much.
That was one of the greatest EMPs that Clem is ever going to drop, but it is still going to be tough for the man from
I mean, again, that was the best fight that Clem could have hoped for. The best fight he could have gone for.
+2, a dream fight for Clem, because if those High Templars were properly spread, there were way more storms there for Classic to work with. Classic is immediately rebuilding those Colossus he lost. He immediately added 5 High Templars as well. I think he's looking for a feedback on the Raven here. Does manage to get that feedback off, and with a single blink should be able to finally get that Raven. Perhaps, yes, there we go. That is a nice one for Classic. I mean, Classic probably kicking himself a little bit there, though, because there was more potential in that army than he managed to get out of that fight.
I mean, it was impressive by Clem because, as you're alluding to, Classic was about to end the game. Right, Classic, he was about to take the game, he was about to end it then and there, but we had a crazy surround, more importantly, a crazy EMP on the High Templar, so Clem, the stars aligned, the best fight he could have hoped for, he survives, and he's back in this. He's back in this game.
So for now, it's going to be Classic.
We have it back and forth.
Clem basically staying out, roaming. He's trying to keep his army very well spread out so that if he sees another push, he can try to surround it once more.
The most painful thing for Clem about that previous fight is that he lost pretty much all of his Vikings. And Vikings are expensive. He is working with double starport now, and he's obviously starting to have a much better economy than he had earlier. It's so important to keep these Vikings alive as one High Templar gets split off.
That's so a lot of Templar.
Storm clips a couple of these Terran units. Clem did manage to get his 2-2 upgrades online, so that's obviously nice. High Templars
nice
are
EMP,
once again clumped up, and that's another great EMP by Clem. Classic is going to have to do a better job in spreading out those High Templars. A single EMP is not supposed to connect with 4 or 5 High Templars at once.
So Clem decides to back off. I think identifying that right now, Classic.
Yeah, as I'm mentioning, right now in this game, the MVPs for Clem are the EMPs. They're having the EMPs time and time again for these fights, as he just keeps connecting with every single High Templar. They just keep clumping up.
Or even 8 bases, and then the income is so insane.
He got a split back.
Huge amount of gateways laid out, and it's a little bit like watching how a Zerg plays, where they, fight in with their whole army and then remake it in the blink of an eye and close the game out.
Clem definitely is feeling the pressure of this moment as he's moving around in his share a little bit. Our observer is showing us that Classic, his gateway count is pretty damn low for this phase of the game. We're 15 minutes in and he only had 8 gateways. He's adding 4 more right now. Of course, the Classic's defense, he did go for relatively early double robo
double expanding
after the Templar Archives, and he's playing
triple expanding
even. He's been rich, but he has also not been that rich that he could have been on 20 gates already, but it makes a lot of sense for Classic to add in a few more gateways. We are going up to 14 at this point. I think that's a very reasonable number for the state of the game.
We've got a War Prism that's going to come through here. Classic laying down these 3 bases at once is starting to look scary. Clem hasn't moved. I wouldn't call this paralyzed, but if he lets Classic get this big, if he doesn't drop in several locations or figure out how to win with a push, which of course
Prism into the main.
Hard at this phase of the game, he's going to be in
Clem
trouble.
this time he's more or less in position. Oh, that's a kill!
Great. He shuts down the gold base. He's going to zip up north through the speed thingamajigs, and then he's going to come up there and hit that top right base.
That was a kill, by the way, on the Nexus. That Nexus did not get cancelled. Classic thought that's just a couple of Marines. These Marines, by the way, are absolute heroes as they're still going all the way to the top right side. So they got a Nexus and 5
big Gabe out there sniping bases.
Willing to lose as Marines as Clem was maxed out, and Clem is looking for that power spike that Terran has with +2 ship weapons and a bunch of Liberators. And then ideally we get that upgrade out of the Fusion Core as well for the advanced ballistics. Like, that is an incredibly important one. Liberators with +2, especially combined with a bunch of EMPs. That is a very gnarly combo for Protoss to deal with, unless Protoss is working with a bunch of Tempest. But Classic doesn't even have a Stargate yet.
That's right. No Stargate yet. Scans come down here. We're seeing a little bit of sharking around here from Classic. Classic has some deep pockets, 2.2K, nearly 2K
once again, like,
gas.
Classic has a little potential with this main army, with the main fights.
Set up as
Only if he doesn't clump up his units.
Towards the center right on his side of the map. And, okay, beautiful EMP takes that first Templar out. Nice EMPs blanketing those units.
A little bit worried for Clem, though, because at this point the Liberator count is not that high yet. There are so many High Templars in the back, and they are looking to drop a few more Storms, but so far, so good. Classic is going to put those 16 gateways to very good use. So Clem definitely handled that fight beautifully. It looked like the Libs were going to be a bit exposed, and they did manage to go down in the end. But obviously Classic was looking for a little bit more. Did manage to save at least one of those Colossus. A lot of High Templars left in this army. Not a lot of Ghosts left. Not a lot of EMPs to work with.
You see the Storm go down. It hits both the Vikings and the units on the ground. Is there enough?
Yeah, the Storms are brutal. Here come the Chargers. Classic is going for it.
And Clem's army,
he's going
looks
for the
weak.
kill.
He's going to have to kite in 2 different directions at once.
That is difficult, even for Clem, to micro this army to perfection, all the way back to the bottom left, all the way on the right side. He's kind of doing it, though, and that's why he's the world champ. But there are still so many Archons, and the Immortals, they really pack a punch as well. That War Prism is still sitting pretty. One Liberator flies in, it dies. The Vikings are dying. Clem is in all sorts of trouble.
There's just so much, and he's on top of a decent amount of the infrastructure here for Terran. We have a little bottleneck over here that's going to slow these Zealots down. Clem explodes back out. However, this third base is under so much pressure, I don't know if Clem can recover it.
It doesn't look like it. GG gets called. Classic from Virtus Pro takes the 2-0 lead over the reigning world champ. That is
he broke
Clem.
the camera.
And then you keep in the back of your mind as well that Classic won the last 2 series that these guys have played. A 4-2, a 3-1. Classic just has a read right now on Clem as he keeps on having absolutely marvelous starts to these games, which forces Clem to play from very far behind.
I'll say this, I think the first half of that game was some of the best I've ever seen Clem play. I loved what he did, even coming out and fighting the Adept immediately on the map. I liked how he came around and hit the Stalkers from behind. I liked the EMP that hit like something like 4 or 5 Templars and shut that down. But at the end of the day, it's not enough to shut down Classic. Classic basically always gets
it's one of those things where when it came to the engagements, when it came to the EMPs, that was keeping Clem in it because he was behind. Like, he was clawing his way back into the game, but he was not able to really slow down Classic's own economy. He was never able to really break through the main army either. GG. Like, a strong start here from Classic. Continues his reign here. We mentioned earlier how Classic has been on a win streak against Clem. Classic has been, I mean, the last 2 series, Classic beat Clem in a best of 7 and a best of 5. Now here he's up 2-0. Classic's been looking very dominant. I was saying how I was, expecting to see Clem take a different approach here to Classic, but we're seeing something different. This isn't like the hyper-defensive, turtley macro Classic that was laying waste to Clem in series past. Very different instead. Here, much more earlier aggression out of Classic here, with his Stalkers, with his even 2-gate opener in game 1 as well. So a very different approach here in Classic. It's really catching Clem off guard.
This, of course, was a monstrous moment for Classic as well. Just revealing the 2
Because I would say this is not the Classic that we saw at RSL.
Wait a minute, what?
Not exactly.
Templar hops out of the prism. 17 SCVs in that phase of the game is massive.
It's funny because the Terran is trying to push
Yo,
out.
shout out to Jason. Thank you so much for the 100 bits. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
This was another moment I thought was beautiful here.
Yeah, this was crazy, this fight.
I mean, he basically got a great EMP off here. He took out all the Colossus.
But as Roddy said,
but then
even though Clem fights the best he can here, he gets the best engagement possible, he still loses all the Vikings, and he still is down in workers, still down in economy. He had, what, 54 SCVs? Like this was still, like, Clem struggling to survive, more so like taking a dominant fight sort of thing.
Classic is playing some incredibly impressive PvT. Still needs to get one more on the board, though, for a top 4 finish here at the Esports World Cup.
Give us a game 4, though.
Would, of course,
give us an ace match.
Champion as well, but we ain't there yet.
Take
Clem
us all the way.
Comeback kid. He has made some great comebacks throughout his entire career. I remember at WCS Europe Finals where he was down 0-3 against Rainer, turned it around, still became the champ 4-3. So let's not count out the champ just yet.
In the bottom right, up 2-0, he is Classic.
And in the top left side, the kid knows that he's gonna have to bring something incredibly special. He is still the reigning world champion of StarCraft 2, representing Team Liquid, looking to join Cure in those semi-finals. Needs to win 3 games in a row. It's Clem.
That's an intro.
We've had people come back 3-0 before, although that look on Clem's face didn't give me a lot of confidence. I think it's a overwhelming feeling, right? The way that Classic plays is so basically risk-off. He's very good at defending. He's even fine playing from behind. As long as he gets all the pieces on the board, he can play whatever kind of game he wants.
I think for the first time this series, double gas opener by Clem, faster factory, delayed CC.
But this is the stage that I can shine on. I've done it before. I'm going to do it again. You can shake off those RSL defeats and try to learn from them. That first game, it really sets the tone for the series, where Clem thinks like, hey, I get the eBay block down. That's awesome. Hey, I'm even able to delay the natural a little bit longer, and suddenly, surprise, your opponent has gone for a very unusual double gateway opening, 2 adepts into 2 stalkers. It really set the tone. From there on out, it just kind of feels that Classic is in Clem's head.
Roddy, I wouldn't even mind seeing the Hidden Star port again. I felt like if that game 1 wasn't so weird, maybe that would have done a little bit more. It's probably more important to try to make the game chaotic early, right? The earlier you can do that, the harder it is for Classic to add every following building block to the point where he's unstoppable. But we'll see. I mean, Clem definitely is going to come in here with some kind of plan. It's going to be the best plan he's ever had on this map, on this matchup, because otherwise he is going to lose this best of 5.
Yep, this is it. We have gone for a double Reaper opening, so it could be triple Reaper into double Hellion, but we'll keep a close eye on it. There's a chance that Clem will just show something, but actually switch it up and try to make Classic to be the guessing guy once in this best of 5. We will see. Again, a very early shield battery in the main base. You can see first person view of both
really
players.
safe play there by Classic.
That is definitely worth mentioning. Like, the man is building double battery before I think he has dropped the tech building. That is not standard Tasteless, but perhaps he is anticipating Clem to look for some of that early damage. And these batteries, they do really help you with it.
You know, there's something about the way this series goes. I mean, it's always tough to predict StarCraft games. And we can always kind of, he actually gets a nice, snipes that one Reaper. You can see a frustrated smile there.
No, Clem, you saw the reaction shot. That was brutal. Remember, a couple of things. This was a double gas opener. This is meant to be Reaper Hellion. This is meant to be aggressive for the first Reaper to go down. For there to be 2 shield batteries already done as well. Classic, he is really well set up.
But it is so much less likely for them to get anything done if you lose one of those key units early. The only thing that Clem can hope for right now is just to delay that third base a little bit. I don't think Classic is truly looking to rush into it. Classic is going to send a hallucinated Phoenix to the other side of the map, and he is going to spot that natural of Clem is obviously a little bit later than it is with many of the other builds, and he should be able to see the Cyclone as well.
And it's going 3-gate blink.
And back in the near future. With that shield battery in the main, with a shield battery in the natural, I'm not expecting Classic to really struggle with the opening that Clem has gone for here.
Yeah, as they're referencing, it is going to be a Cyclone drop follow-up here out of Clem. We get a full scat as well. He does get eyes on Cyclone. He gets eyes on Medevac. Classic knows exactly what's coming his way, and he has a really strong defensive setup against that. We see it's going to be an add-on swap into Cloak Banshee.
Cyclone drop with infantry, followed up with Banshee with Cloak.
Hallucination should confirm.
Right now, Classic has been
Hallucination
very
does confirm
at defending. I mean, he seems to have a very good
Caesar
sense
research
of where the drop, whatever it may be, is coming. How he splits his stalkers accordingly. I think he's really the best in the whole world at this with Protoss.
And he's making his life easy by staying on 2 bases a little bit later, longer, right? Like, if he would have already gone up to 3 bases, you have to worry about that pylon that pros players will very often.
Yeah, we spoke about this, remember, on Persephone. On Persephone, Classic went for a 3rd base before Robo. Here, Robo before 3rd. This is a much, much safer play by Classic.
But incredibly solid approach. And this is risky by Clem because we are 10 seconds away from Blink finishing up. And what is also very cool, by the way, on Clem's side, I do want to mention that, is that Clem is telling a bit of a story. Last game, he used that tech lab on the starport to boost up Interference Matrix by like, hey, I'm playing Cloak Banshees. But he wasn't playing Cloak Banshees. This time he does want to play Cloak Banshees, but we said it, Blink is close to finishing up. Classic finds the medevac, and things are just going from bad to worse for the man from Team Liquid.
This is looking brutal. I mean, we saw the Reaper go down. That was a bad sign. Losing the medevac you made with everything in it is even worse. The Stalkers are going to come in here in the front and the harass in the back. It's just not going to kill enough workers.
The tank dying is an absolute disaster.
Down.
Clem doesn't have a bonk here, only has a...
I was going to say this looks like the beginning of a 2-base win from Clem, but he already lost a tank.
Where are you going to put that tank? That tank could get picked up as well. The Reapers and the Hellions didn't get much done on the other side of the map. This is a horrible scenario for
Is this
Clem.
how it ends?
The champ is in all sorts of trouble.
No shot.
Tank on sieges. He's going to need to move in a little bit further. Classic guy has to be careful, of course, and not overextend. These are very bruised stalkers. You know, you can see Clem muttering to himself here. He knows how impossible the situation is. Everything that happens in a StarCraft game ripples into the next few minutes, and losing that many workers is so painful. But here come the Banshees. If he can recover now, that would be huge. He's got to get a lot of worker kills, and he has to avoid this Observer.
Yep, the Observer is going to get on top of the Banshees, but getting a High Templar is already something. Maybe getting out of range of the Stalkers is big as well. This is exactly what Clem needs to have a little bit of hope to make something of this Game 3. Being down 0-2 in this series, that was big. Getting 11 workers, seeing that your opponent is not always perfect, even sniping one of those High Templars, that is absolutely what's going to give Clem a little bit of hope that he's still alive and there is a world where he can still turn things around. We have already seen a few miraculous comebacks today. We saw it in the ZVZ, we saw it in the TvT, and I'm sure that Clem at this point thinks as well, why not me? If they can do it, why not the champ?
Yeah, this is the beginning of the comeback here. This was very necessary damage. Getting a High Templar, getting 11 workers. Behind this, third CC is on the way, so Clem is not going for the all-in. He is not pulling the boys. He is getting ready to try to stabilize and get into a longer game. Now, Clem is still behind. Like, Clem, he's still in a rough position, but this is a good start here, a good way back into this.
48-48. But what we need to watch out for is the tech from Protoss. And if Protoss ends up getting enough, by the way, Banshee goes down, does Protoss get enough Psystorm? Does it get enough the Colossuses? Now,
He's
the
going
fact
for a move out.
there is a Warp Prism, I assume this is for a drop.
He went for delayed Forge, delayed +1, early Storm into an early Prism. He's moving out.
Can go multiple ways. I believe Classic's gateway count is quite high, but I am sure that Clem just... Wow, that went so much better. Our man lost his only tank, had no bunker in the natural, was forced to pull the SCVs. We lost that medevac in the center of the map. This game looked almost unplayable for Clem. Now Clem actually has a army supply lead. Clem is very close in the work account. He is starting to add in some
a decent defensive setup.
for his Vikings on the production tab, which I
Now,
really like.
Classic doesn't have to push into this. He doesn't have to push into Clem. I don't think he needs to.
Classic, I think, is going to try to end the game here.
He's going for
Classic
it.
might just think, you know what? I'm just going for it. I know you don't have Ghost out yet. With the way that this game has gone, it is impossible for you to have Ghost, and that's where High Templars, of course, shine the brightest when that Ghost Academy is done, but the Ghosts are not quite out yet.
Okay, the Warp Prism's going to be driven back here. Does not use his 2 Templars. He's going to try to pair that in with an attack.
Sees the tank. He wants it.
He's going to come in here with the Zealots. The Stalkers blink on top of the tanks. The Storms need to come down on top of the workers, and they don't quite get that many.
Very good micro on the side of Classic against those Widow Mines. He even picked up a couple of units. He keeps on dodging them. The Storms have been quite good. He needs to morph those Templars into Archons immediately. Drops his final Storm. He has the ability to get 2 Archons here, and he's going to warp in a couple of extra
he defends. Clem is holding.
Forward. He's going to go down. One of the Archons. He's going to get the second one as well. Where are those Zealots Classic is waiting for?
He's going to pull the SCVs. He's going to try to go for a dive and push through where the warp in is. The Zealots get in time. It's a tug of war here in the middle of the map.
Wow.
Clem has to be extremely careful not to overextend. He snipes the Observer, and he survives that huge attack.
What a hold there by Clem. That was not easy. Did not have any Ghost out yet. And I actually thought Classic executed incredibly well in the beginning. Split up some units.
And as you mentioned, Classic, he didn't have to go there. He did not have to push in, but now Clem, he holds, he survives. We have a game.
But Clem was able to keep it together, brought the boys to the fight on the right moment as well.
We have a game.
Clem is now enjoying a 27 supply lead, at least in the army, and he's got +1 to work with as well. Classic is going to try to slow this game down a little bit by going up to 4 bases and going double robo. Clem is having none of that. This would be another miraculous comeback here today, because Clem was in an immense amount of trouble.
Looks like Clem's going to try to come in here for the dive. He gets a nice EMP, taking a lot of the energy out from those Templars. The Zealots are not high in numbers. The tanks are going to siege up, and this army is once again going to be thinned out.
Nice, another storm
beautiful
though.
by Clem as well. It's like, all right, nice job with the Warp Prism and the High Templar drops. What if I do the same thing, boosting the medevac forward, dropping a Ghost, landing a good EMP. Classic right now is praying Clem goes back because he wants time to get those Colossus online. He made a big investment, double robo, the robo base, starting to research extended thermal lens as well. At this point, Classic not capable of fighting Clem's army, but in a minute, he's obviously going to be a lot more capable when he gets some of these high-tech Protoss units online.
Okay, we've got Classic pushed back. I have to say, it's kind of insane how well this game is going. I mean, remember how this started?
It was a disaster.
It was a disaster. I mean, I thought we were going to be in the game for just a few more minutes. Once I saw that medevac shot, I thought, okay, there's no way Clem recovers. But here we are, Clem with a larger army. He's way up in supply. He's going to come in with his push. Ooh. The question is, can he make it work, or will he overextend, as has happened so many times in the past?
That is a great run by Classic, though. The doors are wide open. 12 SCVs.
4 CC as well.
And Classic can potentially get a Kenzo as well in this command center. There are a few Marines and Marauders.
He's racing up the tanks. He's getting
Clem forgets about a tank in the center of the map. These are big moments for Classic, where the last 2 minutes went pretty freaking good for Clem. And Clem pulled off a fantastic hold. It is now once more Classic who is dictating the pace of this game and has been able to buy so much time for himself. Colossus number 3 and 4 are on the way. He's got double forge, extended thermal lens is about to finish up, and it's difficult for Clem to pump out a lot of Vikings because he's simply not that rich.
So what he wants to do is pick up a huge number of units and drop into the main. He'll then try to push into maybe the 4th, possibly the 3rd or the 2nd. Classic knows that this push is on the map somewhere because there's nothing back here.
Drop is moving out. He hasn't noticed the drop.
Zealots into here is the right idea. He wants to kill as many workers as possible. Classic.
Drop into the main.
Maybe the positional master of defense here at PDT is
Does
going to have
boost
to try to
in.
deal with this huge attack coming in here from
Do we
Clem.
recall?
We're 10 seconds away from +1 armor finishing up. That is absolutely not something that Classic
Oh, the
wants
Colossus
to
exposed.
see.
He gets one.
Get shot
Oh,
down.
not
The
even.
recall is massive. That's a lot of Colossus. All of them survived. At the same time, though, Clem is going to be able to take out the third base. That is nice. He's going to be able to find all these probes as well that were hiding in the
Gets a
corner.
mineral line.
So big plays here by Clem, but it obviously wasn't for free. He did lose a lot of supply, and he's going to lose one of the medevacs as well that still had some cargo. 30 probes in the end. That's a serious number.
This is crazy. I mean, he took out... I mean, positionally, Clem is so ahead now. The bases are so much higher. Protoss has basically been forced all the way back here to defend. I like the storms here on these medevacs. Do whatever you can to get rid of these, because as long as these are back here, they can always just drop into your main. And I think Clem's happy to sit here and micro these versus storms. By the way, those are storms that can't be used in the next minute or so here when you spend it on that medevac.
Yeah, it seems like Classic is looking for a devastating counter because he's not rebuilding any workers. This is it, Tasteless. Classic is going to try to get Clem out of this game and get the W in this best of 5. But Clem's got a
the army supply is in favor of Classic. That's true. He's holding on to a lot of storms. Once again, just like the last game, comes down to the EMPs. Comes down to those EMPs. Can Clem deny these storms?
Clem had no choice. Clem had to choose medevacs or Vikings. Without Vikings, he stands no chance, so he needed to invest. Classic is now thinking about maybe... I don't know what he's actually thinking about. Like, he turned around there for just a couple of Marines. If we're not rebuilding workers, we
He's
gotta
like,
go, Classic.
I don't know what he's thinking, Bobby. I don't know.
He's gotta go.
Yeah, he's gotta go. I think he wants these 2 Archons to finish, and basically he's not gonna try to recover. He's gonna try to have a counter punch that's so strong that it might just kill Clem in one blow. He's gonna come up here to the top, and the planetary makes it a very undesirable position to attack into.
Yep, you probably prefer the natural, the third, or somewhere in between. Classic has now warped in a Nexus on the right side, has still not rebuilt a single war. Is getting another pylon as well, so it seems like he truly wants to max out. The armies are massive on both sides. We're looking at 130 supply. It's gonna come down to the storms. It's gonna have to come down to War Prism Micro. Can we save
First storm
that
turns.
Colossus? No, we lose the Prism immediately, and it's hard to end the game without a War Prism.
Okay, some storms go down, but Clem's basically willing to ditch
that's
the
a lot of
base. I think
storms,
he realizes the situation he's in. That storm hit hard here. Another nice EMP takes some energy off of the Templars. Some snipes come in here and take out these Templars as well. Clem's going to try to push in, and now Classic's going to swing back.
Not a lot of EMPs left. Clem has already fired a lot of those EMPs forward. I think we're looking at 1 or 2 additional EMPs. There are still a lot of High Templars in the mix. And even though Clem's got a supply lead, he is looking incredibly unhappy because he does not have enough energy to heal up his bio. The Vikings have already been better than Bruce. It is going to be difficult for the kid to win this fight. He's going to try to chase his army down. He did manage to gun down that Prism, and that's why Classic is slowing down a little bit. Classic does not want to take a game-deciding fight without any reinforcements, but Clem knows there are so many storms left, and there are very few EMPs to work with on his side.
And now Classic is making probes. He's expanding again. So he basically hit hard, and then he threw down some bases. He's starting to develop again.
Trade?
And he's going to try to keep
Clem
Clem
is
on
pushing
3
down the
bases.
right-hand
If
side.
Clem counterattacks, there's a very high chance Classic just runs into the natural to the main. I've seen this so many times before with these two.
Clem is going to split off a couple of units to put some pressure on that new 4th base for Classic, but Classic is going to invite himself into the natural of Clem as the doors are wide open, and that problem with the low energy ghost is still there.
Goes down.
The better than
Gets
Bruce
one.
Vikings are still in trouble. They can't even get close. I don't know how Clem is possibly going to deal with this Protoss army.
And I think the counterattack is inconsequential. Now Clem has to try to hang on here. He's lost his natural.
Gets a Prism again.
He's got his army out here. The Colossus are so
there's still
strong
so
here.
many High
Anytime he
Templar.
attacks in, remember the medevacs have no energy. There's no way to heal.
And the Vikings are so low on HP. If these Archons can get in range, one shot and most of those Vikings will fall. There are still a lot of storms left to work with.
Vikings are going
Maybe
down.
one
Plenty
EMP,
of
the EMP is not
storms.
able to connect, or we didn't even manage to fire one.
Crazy game. Crazy comeback here by Clem.
It
But
just seems like there is a little too much Protoss to deal with.
Oh, God.
Nice storm over there on that infantry. We see some regrouping here from Classic. Now, Classic knows he's so close to closing this out. Clem is going to fight with every iota of his being to stay in this game, but the damage is slowly chipping away.
Yep, that is a very low HP bio army.
He's
The
down to almost
medevacs are
nothing. Here come the
overworked.
storms.
They still have no
God.
energy. Another storm lands, and Classic has so many additional storms
He's
to work
done it.
with. A couple of
Classic,
zealots
he
come in
has
as well
done
from the
it.
bottom right side. Clem is
Attempts
hoping
to
that
surround.
Classic is willing
Oof.
to take a really bad fight near that planetary, but Classic wasn't born last night. He's not doing that. One EMP does connect on 2 of those High Templars, but look at this Protoss army, Tasteless. It is still large. It is still very serious.
And he could just wedge himself in between these two bases.
Yeah, hands are off the keyboard.
Clem taking his hands off the mice. I think he's
He
starting to
knows.
realize just how impossible this is. We have another attack coming in here. Remember, the Classic is just growing behind us on the map.
We have never had a back-to-back world champion in StarCraft 2, and it seems like that will stay, as unfortunately the champ of 2024 is eliminated by
Classic.
a fantastic Classic.
Crazy.
3-0.
Incredible play here from Clem, or Classic, excuse me. Clem, you know, I
Hey,
think
for
he had
Clem too.
some amazing
That
games
last game.
inside those matches, but he was never able to solve the problem of Classic's late game. He did damage, he did near fatal blows, but as long as Classic was able to recover, accumulate bases, get those 2 key techs, the Storm, as well as the Thermal Lance for the Colossus, and of course having enough Colossus in numbers, there just wasn't that much that Clem could do.
Nope. Momentum is a real thing in StarCraft 2. We often talk about it, and Classic was able to win.
I mean, they're talking about momentum. Remember, this was a really rough game for Clem. Like, the beginning of the game was disastrous. If you remember, we called it, like, what, 8 minutes in? When the medevac went down, when the tank went down, like, everything was on fire. Everything was looking dire for Clem. Classic got such a strong start, and we were all insanely impressed by how well Clem clawed his way back into that game. Even at moments where he was ahead in army supply, never had the better economy, but he was able to build up an army instead, and he almost brought it back. We almost had a series there, almost.
Impressive win over the reigning champ here at EWC. Now, in an interview after your last victory, they asked you who you would rather face, Maru or Clem. You asked for both. You seemed quite confident about Clem as an opponent. So where does that PVT confidence come from?
일단 김도우 선수 승리 축하드리고요. 일단 이전 승리 이후에 인터뷰에서 사실 푸테전에 자신감이 있고 그래서 조성주 선수나 클렘 선수를 만나고 싶다라고 하셨는데 좀 그런 자신감의 배경이 좀 어디서 나왔는지 좀 궁금합니다.
연습하는 과정에서 테란전 승률이 좀 괜찮았고 온라인 대회 같은 데서도 테란전 승률이 잘 나오더라고요. 또 그 RSL에서 클렘 선수도 잡고 일단 온라인 대회에서 클렘 선수를 이겨봐서 테란전 자신감이 굉장히 있었던 상태입니다.
Well, my confidence came from the win rates from previous matches and previous practices. And that being said, I won against Clem in RSL, so I think that gave me a confidence boost.
Well, you certainly seem to have a great read on him.
I think we were hoping for something a little bit more detailed, but sure.
Talk to me a little bit about that against Clem and why you decided to open with that build in particular.
일단 이번에 클렘 선수 상대로 혹시 두 번째 세트 오프닝 전략에 대해서 좀 말씀을 해주신다면 어떤 게 있을까요?
몇 번째 세트요?
Was it?
2 game, map 1.
Yeah.
Game 1, 2-gate opener.
그냥 딱히 너무 무난하게만 하면 좀 클렘 선수를 이기기 쉽지 않을 것 같아가지고 제 나름대로의 전략을 준비했고 그게 상대 선수의 빌드를 좀 예측해가지고 그게 잘 맞물려서 잘 통했던 것 같습니다.
So I didn't want to open normally because I think Clem is very good at macro. So I tried to expose his weakness, and I think that build came out from that research.
It came out in a big way. You did a wonderful job there. 3-0 now. We've had a lot of keys crushed on this stage so far, but no key like this one. Are you prepared to don the mantle of Champion Slayer should you go all the way? Are you prepared to crush Clem's key?
일단 지금까지 많은 키가 부서지긴 했지만 이제 또 남다른 키가 또 부서질 거거든요. 챔피언의 키가 부서질 거기 때문에 김도우 선수가 마침 또 그걸 부수시게 됐는데 부술 준비 되셨는지?
네, 부술 준비됐고 챔피언의 저걸 제가 부수니까 제가 새로운 챔피언이 되도록 하겠습니다.
I think he said Cyril.
Yeah, given that I have defeated and I'm crushing the champion's key, now it's time to be the new champion, and it's gotta be me.
I love that confidence.
Let's go.
Let's see him crush that key. Let's send it back to the desk. We'll be right back with that action.
Classic goes 3-0 against the
3-0.
title defender here at
Crazy.
the Esports World Cup. That is unbelievable. I cannot believe it. 3-0 against the world champion, and now he has eliminated Clem here.
Like, again, even though everyone was like on the classic hype train, even then, like 3-0, I don't think is what people were thinking of in regards to that.
No one was really
It's crazy.
predicting this one. Yeah, we gave Classic the edge, but to 3-0, that is seriously impressive. He clearly came prepared from the first game, and then his execution in this matchup seems to be unrivaled.
Yeah, Classic just looks completely fantastic. I mean, here he is in the round of 4, a Protoss player. Can he do it? This is the storyline, right? Like, obviously, we love Clem and want to see him do well, but we need a Protoss.
What is the
up there.
storyline?
If Protoss doesn't make at least a top 4, we're going to need another patch to buff him again.
Maybe. I mean, he seemed confident in the interview, right? He's saying, okay, he's defeated the world champion here, ZG. It's now time for him to claim it. There are still some big threats, obviously, for him to try and overcome. But the fact that he has knocked out our world champion in the round of 8, that is a big deal. We now guarantee a new world champion. There will be no back-to-back Clem.
Yeah, that's very true. Cyril, Cure, Solar, or Classic. Those are now the options. So David Kim, by the way, once again wins.
Yeah.
He does it every time.
He does it every time.
How does he do it? How does he do it?
How amazing is that? But yeah, I mean, it's of course going to still be a very difficult road for Classic. But if he was viewing that as one of the the toughest opponents, then I think everyone would understand. And now it could be maybe even
Texas
focusing
in
on just
shambles.
Zerg. I love it. Protoss hopes are alive. Apparently, he's now the. Oh, Texas is in shambles?
Whoa.
Oh, okay. I thought Cyril was Texan.
Delete that bottom bit. Artosis was right. No, stop, please.
Okay, as always, come on.
There's so many things I could say to that, but
Like, yes, and 100%.
yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I've always said
You're
it.
right.
Dan the man. Yeah, thanks.
No, stop. But one thing's for sure here, huge ramifications, of course, Artosis. Classic moves through. It's not quite the green wave. It's a green tide. It's at the moment, right? But fantastic to see that Classic has been able to prevail. We do have one in the round of 4.
Yeah, and again, that is really important. Like, we want to see that racial diversity in the top 4, and we do have that. And we have 4 players that are playing like completely different styles from each other as well. I think it's really diverse. I think all the matches are going to be really nice tomorrow. Really fun.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, as Cyril, the one remaining non-Korean, will be trying to claim himself yet another world championship. But one thing's for sure is actually that when you look back at our world championships here, ZG, over the last 4 years, 5 years or so, oftentimes, actually, non-Koreans are representing quite well, quite favorably. But just Cyril now here, the Koreans finally fighting back. There is a great chance for them to try and put themselves a world championship on the board.
Yeah, there was only one world championship in which there was, more non-Koreans than Koreans actually in the top 4, and that was a few years ago. Maybe we thought it was going to be a trend. Nope, the Koreans basically they struck back. There's some Star Wars in there.
Yep. True.
And now it seems like they continue to do that, but there is always that one problem. It's kind of nice though to think that like we're kind of back to maybe like 2018, where Cyril was often the only hope left against the Koreans, and then he does often win even in that situation, as tough as his opponents are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, what a magical finals that was, of course, over at BlizzCon. You guys were casting that. We were all losing our mind as everything was going on. So we're kind of rewinding the times to that moment there and seeing how it's going to go potentially.
Yeah. I mean, he's not there yet, but I favor Cyril. I think he probably has the highest percentage chance to win, but I could see Classic taking it down. If Solar somehow takes out Classic, he's dangerous as well. And Kira has been playing pretty out of his mind.
This is one thing actually that has maybe knock-on effects, right, ZG? Because Cyril may be watching that series just now and salivating effectively. Clem, one of the people that really does give him a potential problem, like last year's championship, is now gone.
Yeah, I mean, it would not be that much of a stretch to say, like, really.
I would agree with what they're getting at. Based on what the top 4 is looking like now, Cyril is the heavy favorite. In my mind, when it comes to the top 3 players here outside of Cyril, Cure, Classic, and Solar, I do think that Solar has the best chance against Cyril. Solar, he's beaten Cyril plenty of times in the past, and even in this tournament, or in the lead up to this tournament, they went to the ace match with each other. DreamHack Dallas, the ZVZ between Solar and Cyril was crazy. So that is probably like the biggest chance to bring Cyril down. Outside of that, though, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Classic and Cure.
For StarCraft 2, we're going to go to our exit interview of our previous world champion, Clem.
Let's hear from Clem.
The night continues surprise as Classic has defeated the reigning world champion and the favorite probably going into the tournament to win the whole thing. I know you were looking for the back-to-back, Clem, so how are you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling pretty disappointed, of course. It really sucks to lose in the round of 8, but it is how it is sometimes.
That's fair enough. What can you tell me about the games? I mean, there were some insane moments where it looked like you took really good fights, surrounded with, you know, like with half of your army, impede all the High Templars, and still it felt like it wasn't enough. Towards the tail end of the third game, it felt like it was looking hopeless, and then your Banshee killed so many probes, and it felt like you had a second win and took a really good engagement towards the end. But again, it felt like it wasn't enough, so I guess what happened?
Well, I think I just had worse starts like every game, and if you have like a bad start, is pretty much over usually. And yeah, some of these fights honestly kind of shocked me. Like I feel like I took perfect fights. Like I had the flanking EMPs on all of his High Templars, but I still lost the fight. It was very surprising, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Are you gonna start practicing PvP for next year?
Maybe I should. Maybe I should get to it.
Oh no!
Maybe you should. Thank you, Clem.
Not the PvP.
Pin Clem there here.
He's gonna fall into the. He's gonna fall into the darkness.
Shifty Protoss moves there for a second. But he will be the one who takes the glory, Artosis, and crushes the key here of Clem.
Yeah.
Not like this.
Well deserved. I'm sure that that key will be.
But yeah, Clem, he mentioned something that we do harp on quite often in regards to TvP. It is very much so momentum based. It's very momentum based, and when you have a really rough start, it can be difficult to recover. I would say that Clem did recover in that last game, but it was still a very chaotic and very messy back and forth in Game 3. But yes, to echo his sentiments, Classy did have a stronger start Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3.
It really has a strong chance of doing so. You can always say that he took out the reigning world champion. So yeah, good performance from Classic. We had high hopes for him coming into the tournament, and so far he's delivering.
Classic clean on the day, goes 3-0 against Showtime prior as well. Here are all the results coming in from day number 3 of our StarCraft 2 World Championship. And that means then we moved on into our last games of the day, and Classic was able to get that 3-0 against Clem, if you're just tuning in right now. Meanwhile, there were other amazing situations going on. Solar 3-0 against Hero. That's a big scalp to take and a big statement to make, Dan.
Yeah. I think stylistically, like I was saying in the cast, he actually goes really well against Hero. So I think the opposite, unfortunately for him, is going to be true against Classic.
I would agree with that.
Just an amazing defensive Protoss. So while Solar's had an insanely good run, I think a top 4 is a great result for Solar. I don't think he's going further than that.
Classic's looking brilliant, and it does make me wonder, right? Of course, if Classic beats Clem in the RSL, he beats him here as well. It makes me very excited for when they next meet, I suppose. Who knows when that may be, ZG, but I'm looking forward to whenever that may come.
Things might be very different by that time.
Maybe.
In fact, Clem might be playing Protoss.
Apparently.
Apparently, exactly. That's why I brought it up. So, yeah, I think that would be an epic one to rewatch. But yeah, Classic clearly has begun to get his number right now. 3 series in a row for him after the loss.
But yeah, talking about what they mentioned here, like even though, if you recall, I was harping on currently the best challenger or the strongest challenger against Cyril would be Solar. I don't know if he can reach him. I don't know if he can get there, just because echoing what Artosis said, because I do agree with that statement, that Classic, he is much more turtly, much more defensive, much more long or late game oriented, specifically in PvZ, and this is what Solar struggles against for sure. He's a very different kind of player compared to Hero. Classic is much more turtly, much more defensive. He's the new Shield of Ire in a sense. He's taking that mantle from stats in PvZ at least. And that is where Solar can have a hard time. So Solar, he's going to have to get to the drawing board here. He's going to have to come up with some kind of repaired setup, or just take a completely different approach coming into his series against Classic. So best of luck to Solar. He is very preparation based. We'll see what he cooks up.
Dead against Raynor, and Raynor just kind of overcommitted, and Sarah was able to take that back. So I think heartbreaking moments for both of them.
We take a look on towards the TvT as well here, as Maru is dispatched by Cure, and I was so impressed by how Cure is able to dismantle Maru.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I go online, I see what people are saying, and everyone was just completely flabbergasted by this one. I mean, the fact that Cure, could have won even in Game 5 was very possible. Everyone would acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But then to get himself back into a great position and still end up losing it, very heartbreaking for many Maru fans.
We moved on. Here it is. We've just witnessed it, and we have witnessed destruction of our world champion. Classic has got all the hallmarks currently of a potentially great run within him, and if he does have to take out the world champion on the way to winning a world champion himself, that's amazing.
Yeah, he's not really losing very many games. He's putting out some great strats. He's defending like perfectly. His control is great. His macro, he's on top of everything. He's really dialed in. You know, honestly, before we started the tournament, a lot of us casters were talking to each other like Classic's one of the favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100%. I had him predicted in the top 4. I also had Hero, though, but Hero played, I guess Hero style, actually, which is very fun, but Solar took care of it. But yeah, it's an unexpected top 4, but the two that I think people would be like, yeah, no, okay. It is Sterile and Classic.
All right. Well, let's take a look at who was able to take the MVP spot for the day. And there are so many names that could have taken this.
Be Classic.
It will be Classic, as he has, of course, defeated the world champion here. Brought to you by Sony for our daily MVP. Is there too much surprise? I mean, you could make the argument that Sarah looked crazy after being able to recover, or Cure being able to take out Maru, but Classic takes it against Clem.
Yeah, I mean, if you beat the defending world champion, that's as good as you can really do, right?
Yes, correct.
He is, by definition, the guy to beat this year. So I guess you got to give it to Classic.
Yeah, he was more the guy to beat, too, just because of, like, everything coming up to it. This isn't one of those situations where someone won a world championship. It's like, that might be a one-off. He really has to prove himself. Everyone is looking at Clem for every single tournament, actually, across the last year, and he couldn't quite get it, but EWC was very possible, and Classic was just a brick wall he couldn't go through.
You're laughing, Dan. What's up?
Yeah, no, I heard the Oliveira slight, but that's okay. Yeah. He was a one-off, that's for sure.
That's not who I was thinking of. But
oh, really?
Okay.
Okay. Well, either way, Clem is a killer. I'm sure he'll be back next year and in that running once again.
Yeah, you'd suspect so. Congratulations to Classic, I should say, but also Virtus Pro as well. Obviously, right? He's the only player representing Virtus Pro here for for StarCraft 2. So this is going to mean, for club championship points, very important that they get them on the box. I know Virtus Pro is representing in quite a few games.
Yeah, absolutely. But then I was thinking, Solar as well, and Team Falcons, obviously want him to help them out, as they're not doing as well so far. But then also Cure comes out as the leading star for Team Liquid, which was not what we were expecting. Clem really helped to get to that second place last year, and now their hopes for getting even higher on that point board go to Cure.
And even Basilisk, I believe, is also representing in chess, in the LCQs that are going to be going on as well. So, I'm sure at some point we can take a look at the club championship points and see what is going on with all of that, because it's very important here. But let's head over to QuickShot, actually, who has a little bit of an update on those club championship points.
StarCraft 2 quarterfinals have wrapped up today, and the biggest story coming out of the quarterfinals is the fact that Team Vitality have been eliminated. The fact that they can no longer get points means that with Team Liquid and Team Falcons still in the semi-finals, they have a massive chance to close the gap between the current number 2 team in the EWC Club Championship. Now, because the show's over, it means I get to have some fun. So remember, kids, when you're driving, seatbelt on, VR headset on, and then we're going to try drive this. I have been warned. We're going to go this side. Okay, I'm getting geared up, and I'm going to keep the microphone. Remember, kids, when driving at home, put the microphone down. Right. Okay. Are you ready? I'm as ready as I'm going to be. I can only shift up. Okay, shift up and go. Okay. Whoa, this is terrifying. Okay. Okay, foot down. Okay. Oh my word, there's actual rear view mirrors. I can't downshift. Ah! Oh no! This is awesome. If you're here at the Boulevard, you absolutely have to come check this out. Oh my word. Change gear. Whoop! Ah! 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 This is terrifying. Ah! Okay, I'm going to focus on this. You guys enjoy the night.
Someone get get quick shot off and stop telling kids to drive. All right, go away. Anyway, let's take a look at those points coming in. Of course,
I'll say, what happened to what's his name? Sandstorm. That's it. Sandstorm and Cats. For whatever reason, because they typically held that segment for the previous couple of days and for the first half of this day. For the second half of the day, we had Trick Shot. Interesting that they made that switch.
Yeah, definitely. Just being able to leap.
Just something that I noticed
after a brilliant win for them and another title, of course. So congratulations to
what
them.
Happened
but,
to Paolo?
Looking at how this all plays out, now those points for Club Championship start getting really big. Once you've made the top 4, and of course we will have a third place match as well tomorrow here at ZG. So there's a lot to play for tomorrow.
Yeah, third place actually more important than I think than basically any other StarCraft 2 tournament where we had actually not had them as often. But like $20,000 difference in the prize pool, big club championships to deliver as well. So unlike some other tournaments, even if you get knocked out and it's going to be hard.
That is something to bear in mind is that for the first time in years, if you know in the chat, let us know when was the last time a Premier Tournament had a third place match, specifically third place match. That's a crazy change here to tournament formats that we typically have.
Like they probably just want to split the money. They don't want to still play. But when you're playing for those extra club points, when you're playing for that much extra money, that is a huge amount of prize money. So, I mean, that's actually still going to be an excellent match.
There's a lot on the line. A lot on the line. And you guys at home, there's a lot on the line when it comes to your feedback as well here for the Esports World Cup, as we want to hear from you about what has been going on here for StarCraft 2, for Esports World Cup, and everything going on. So scan the QR code, go and fill in the survey, and tell
feedback.
us what you think about the good old video games.
Tell them to get rid of the losers' interviews.
Meanwhile, though, we can take a look at the schedule that is going to be coming your way for tomorrow, because we have a set of 4 very important games. The round of 4,
there it is.
Our third place match, and that grand finals. Now, do bear in mind, it's rare we do this in StarCraft 2. We did it last year. We're doing it again. Our grand finals is a best of 9. There is no trial like it, ZG. We did see maybe quite a one-sided one last year, but if we go all 9 maps, I'll lose my mind.
And once again, this is going to be another testament to any Zerg player who makes it through, by the way. The maps are not exactly catered towards Zerg, which they weren't last year, and we saw Zerg still tackle so many other people despite that.
Yeah.
And it once again will be a story here. Sarah or Solar get through. That's going to be another uphill climb, but it just makes the victory all the sweeter.
Everything else is going to be best of 7s. It's going to be a marathon of awesome StarCraft 2 spectacle.
Oh man, we could have 30 games tomorrow. that would be just completely awesome. I do hope it goes really long like that. Honestly, we've had a few one-sided matches, but my pattern recognition in my brain is telling me when we have like really one-sided matches leading towards the final, generally we have a really good, solid final day.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are looking forward to it as well, and I know you at home are as well. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in for day number 3 of StarCraft 2 here at the Esports World Cup. Tomorrow, we are back, same time, same place. We have best of 7s into best of 9 for that grand final, and we will guarantee crown a new world champion here for StarCraft 2. You do not want to miss it. We'll see you tomorrow for the conclusion.
The introduction of EWC and the ever declining trend of S2 is hilariously ironic. What do you mean by that? I don't know if there's overproduction? Question mark? Also, I think I could be mistaken. I think thankfully we got some crowd shots earlier, some crowd shots. Really cool to see players or people traveling to the event. I'll give a link in the chat. Yeah. Gotcha. Thank you. But yes, if you do have some feedback for EWC, then the link is in the chat. And I believe we will be having, I think, an EWC After Dark. I think there's like a little bit of a segment after this. We'll see. But otherwise, a crazy night. It's a crazy night of StarCraft here. Again, a little bit more laid back for us. We were casting the beginning of the first couple of final matches of the group stage, but when it came to the quarterfinals, we did take a step back. We did have more of a reaction stream, enjoying the broadcast. Personally, when it comes to the broadcast itself, I was very satisfied, and I did enjoy the duo that they had for Clem versus Classic. Rotterdam versus Tasteless. I think that was probably the perfect duo that they could have had for that series, just because Tasteless has been, he was of course covering RSL, so he was actually very well familiar with Clem versus Classic because of those RSL matches, so I think that was probably the best series for him to cover. And Roddy was really, of course, when it comes to his Protoss knowledge and his Protoss and PvT especially, like I think he complemented Tasteless really well. So I think that was probably the best cast out of all the matches. I will say that I did enjoy ZG versus Wardy for Mara versus Cure. For whatever reason, I think some casters are not very fond of TvT, and I think that Zombergub carried that cast with her excitement, like her legitimate excitement and hype for it, which I think is well deserved for that series for Mara versus Cure. So that was a close second for me. Close second was Mara versus Cure when it comes to the casting. The other two, but I think Clem versus Classic and Mara versus Cure, I think they were done well. I think they were done justice when it comes to the casting that they had and when it comes to the production that they had. Likewise, as always, Seltzer and Sandstorm, they were having fun on stage with the lines that they had in regards to the player intros and their setup. We got to see a little bit of Paolo. Of course, shout out to those at the B stream. We didn't really get to see any of the B stream games, but the B stream did wrap up today, and they will not be taking part tomorrow. Hopefully, they can make use of the talent, bearing in mind that DeMuslim, Fear Dragon, and Steadfast are at the event. Oh, and here we go.
And
Speaking of it, there he is, Steadfast.
Full of surprises today for StarCraft 2 quarterfinals. Let's start there.